Hello and welcome to 90.4. As electric cars became more prevalent on Omani roads, many people still have questions like how do you charge them, how are they installed, and are they really practical here in Oman? To help us answer some of those questions, I'm joined in the studio by Jawad Al Lawati, co-founder of Charge Zone Oman, who works directly in the EV charging sector. We'll be talking about EVs' key advantages and some of the challenges facing the sector here in Oman. Jawad, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure, to be honest.
So, electric vehicles are something people are hearing more and more about globally, but the infrastructure behind them is quite new in Oman. So, before we get into that, could you tell us a bit about Charge Zone Oman and what exactly it is that you do?
So, Charge Zone Oman basically is a company dedicated to supplying, installing, and maintaining EV charging stations, whether they are normal AC chargers at home or public spaces, or even DC fast chargers that are on the motorway. We started in 2021 as an Omani company, and ever since we've been accelerating the adoption of EV by installing more EV chargers on the road or in private homes. And this helps EV owners to navigate the network throughout the Sultanate by charging easily everywhere and every time.
Yes, so when people hear about an EV charging company, they normally think of public charging stations. So what do you focus on mostly?
Mostly we focus on EV chargers that are in homes, sometimes in companies, but mostly it's for the consumers. Since if you own an EV car, you need to have an EV charger at home because you're going to charge it overnight usually. So you plug it in at night, and then by the early morning, it's already full and ready to drive. It's like basically a mini gas station at your home, on your at your disposal whenever you need it.
Right. And through your experience and your observation, do you find that electric cars are becoming more common here in Oman?
They are really becoming very common right now in Oman. As we can see, it's the number of EV cars in Oman is increasingly. We had some statistics that we were tracking the number of cars in Oman, but now the graph on that statistic bar is going off the chart because of how many people are bringing EV cars, not just in buying them from franchises or brands in Oman. They're even bringing it imported from the US or China and other countries as well.
And who's really making that switch? Is it early adopters or everyday drivers?
It used to be early adopters, just like me, but now we're seeing many of the new drivers that are purchasing electric cars, since there are lots of advantages related to that, especially the youth people, like students mainly, because they have a limited budget and they're looking to do some savings on daily basis, so they prefer to choose the EV car.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that people think about is how far you can actually drive before you need to recharge again. So can you tell us about that?
Okay, so in range, when it comes to range, we have something to know, which is called WLTP. So that stands for Worldwide Harmonized Light Vehicle Test Procedure. This term is used for calculating range by brands like Tesla and other companies. Basically, it's a test that shows how much range a car can have, but that range is calculated mainly inside a controlled lab in ideal situations. So it's not quite accurate, so many of them use this number to exaggerate the range and use it as a marketing advantage for their cars. So for example, some certain car would say or claim to have a range of 700 kilometers of worldwide harmonized light vehicle test procedure, but in reality it doesn't really work in the real world, because you see in Oman it's quite hot. That lab test is performed, for example, on a 28 degrees Celsius ideal situation. So in real world situation, it would be 20 or 30% of that. So let's say around 400 to 500 kilometers of real world highway speed range.
Right. And how long does the charging usually take? You mentioned overnight, but how many hours approximately? And both with a home charger and a public charger.
So when charging, the time to charge a car really depends on the battery size, because the battery size is it's like a bucket. The larger the bucket, the longer it takes to pour water into it. So on an average car, it would take like in a home charger, like 2 to 3 hours, or maybe even 4 hours supposedly. However, in a DC charger, it would take 20 to 30 minutes, and in some cases, it could even reach to 15 minutes. We can even see now other brands, like the Chinese ones especially, they're developing batteries that can charge in under 10 minutes.
Interesting. Do you find that this is a limitation, that people avoid electric cars for this reason?
It could be, honestly. Some people do avoid electric cars due to due to the time it takes to charge them. So they feel that it's quite a lot. But in reality, when you charge at home, it's just overnight. However, when you charge in a public station, in that 20 to 30 minutes, you could like have a break, go for a prayer, get some coffee or some snack. And by the time you do that, your car is about 5 minutes left of getting done and ready to hit the road again.
Right. So we mentioned home chargers. Let's say I live in an apartment or a villa. Is installation more complicated that way?
It kinda is, because in an apartment or in an apartment like an apartment complex, let's say, it would be maybe a bit complex because certain permits needs to be taken from the owner of the building or the owner of the apartment, let's say, and then the connection has to be directly pulled from the specific meter of your apartment, and that's because the charger is going to consume electricity, and that has to be accounted on your electric bill specifically. However, when it's from home, it really isn't that much of a complicated situation. It really depends on where your external distribution board is, and based on that, you just pull the cable into the charger, and it's all good.
Let's talk about costs. I think that aspect is of high importance to most consumers. So how does the cost of charging an EV compare to a petrol regular car?
So to charge an EV car, when compared to ICE, which is internal combustion engine cars, it's quite cheaper. So when filling a car, everyone knows, like a normal car, an ICE engine, it takes like an average of 16 to 18 reals from zero to full tank. But when it comes to EV cars, we calculate the unit, which is called kilowatt hour. That's the unit of the capacity of charging a battery. So an average of, let's say, if a battery size is 78 kilowatt hour, which is the most industry standard that we can see in many cars, it would cost around 1.1 Omani Riyals for a full charge from 0 to 100, which is quite significantly cheaper than ICE cars in that term. When you accumulate this cost across the year, it's not going to even surpass the 100 Riyal mark.
What about driving long distances, let's say to Salalah or Nizwa? Is it still practical? Is the network wide enough?
So driving to Salalah is really possible. It's been possible since 2022 almost, since our petrol station providers have actually installed DC chargers on the way from Muscat to Salalah, for example in Hayma and Ghaba, and also in Maqshan and other places as well, which allow EV users to navigate the entire road from Muscat to Salalah easily and charge wherever they want, and all services are also provided, and that makes it really convenient for EV drivers to utilize these services, especially people coming from outside of Oman.
Right. So we want to discuss climate as well. You know, Oman's climate is quite brutal. It's hot. So with constant heat and air conditioning, are EV batteries affected? What about driving range?
Yeah, that's a really good point actually. The battery is quite affected, to be honest, because batteries don't like too hot or too cold. They like to stay in a 25 degrees ideal situation. So in Oman, it reaches quite frequently to 50 degrees Celsius, which is considered quite hot for batteries. So they tend to depreciate faster than usual throughout the years. In terms of range, the range goes down a bit because the electric AC motor is going to work harder to cool the car, whether it's cooling the cabin or cooling the batteries and the motors and the inverters.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of batteries, it's one of the concerns that people have, battery degradation. So does that affect the resale value?
It doesn't really affect much because the degradation is quite minimal, and it's like it follows a graph of diminishing returns. So in the first year or two, it's quite harsh, but then it evens out very smoothly throughout the other years after the second year. So you won't really feel it that much, since also electric vehicles do receive over-the-air software updates, which help them become more efficient, add some features, and some of these features help it to become even more efficient and increase the range furthermore.
And would you say electric cars require less maintenance compared to regular cars?
They do actually require less maintenance. So in an EV car, to put it simple, we have around 200 moving parts, which is considered quite a little when compared to ICE engines, which have almost 2,000 to 3,000 moving parts. So in that terms, the less moving parts you have, that equals to less maintenance or less downtime or less failures. So in an EV car, basically the three most important services to perform that can be also done on like a DIY, do it yourself, is just replacing the cabin air filter, tires, and your wiper blades with the soap of it. So it's quite simple stuff. There's no oil changes, coolant leaks and fill-ups, all that kind of stuff, transmission oil that you usually have in an ICE vehicle.
Mm-hmm. So Jawad, looking ahead, do you think Oman will have a wider network compared to other countries or similar to other countries? And is this going on a slower rate?
Definitely, inshallah. I believe that with Charge Zone Oman in the picture, it really aims to widening the EV network in Oman. And as we install more and more EV chargers across the Sultanate, hopefully and surely, slowly, the EV network will thrive and more EV owners will be joining the club, and they will be able to drive easier and faster and consume less time while charging throughout the roads of Oman.
Right, and I'm curious, like, you've been doing this for a few years now. Have you come across some misconceptions that you would like to correct? And if someone is still skeptical about owning an EV car, what would you tell them?
So there are quite a lot of misconceptions. We see a lot on social media about people saying that the battery might burn and explode, or maybe, let's say, the charging time reaches up to 12 hours or 24 hours. So now we've reached in battery technology that even if punctured, it won't like heat up or go into a thermal runaway. It's quite safer right now, thanks to the technology of LFP batteries, which are lithium iron phosphate batteries, specifically in their blade state. These batteries are quite safe, they're very reliable, they depreciate even less, give you more range, they have higher energy density, and so on, lots of great features. As for charging hours, so some people do experience like 12 hours plus of charging, but that is only because they are using an emergency charger, which is the slowest charger available in the market. Basically, from its name, it's an emergency charger. Use it in emergency situations. It can be plugged into any wall outlet just to top up your vehicle in case you get stuck somewhere in a remote place.
And what is the role of your company, Charge Zone, in this evolution?
So my role in this company is to ensure that the EV infrastructure uptime is kept high enough for EV chargers to have the entertainment of charging everywhere whenever they need without any downtimes, and also to widen up the network and expand it, also to explore new technologies in charging cars. For example, we're now exploring the wireless technology in charging cars. So basically, you can have like a wireless pad on your parking lot at home, and instead of like plugging in your vehicle, you just reverse into your parking and you exit the vehicle and it starts charging automatically wirelessly.
Isn't wireless charging quite inefficient though?
It is in some way, it is inefficient, but technology has had a very good way right now. And since we're in 2026, there are a lot of revolutionary hardware that just came up. So we're testing and doing our best to accelerate this new adoption of technology. And hopefully, inshallah, it will be available for all consumers very soon.
Inshallah. Before we conclude, do you have any additional words you'd like to share?
I'd like to thank you, of course, for this great interview. And I'm really looking forward to the EV network and also the EV technology in Oman, since a lot of new cars are coming out, and even we have an Omani brand which is called Mace. They have an Omani car which they produce and sell. It has some really amazing, crazy features like an AI that you can talk to and talks to you and calms you down and so on and so forth. It's really amazing and interesting. We're yet to try it. And I really thank all the government companies that are pushing forward in this sector. They're really putting a lot of efforts in accelerating the adoption of EV cars, widening the network, and basically just helping EV owners get more cars and have the community expand in Oman.
Thank you, Jawad. Where can our listeners find you on social media, and how can they have access to your company's services?
So they can find us on Instagram. Our name is chargezone_Oman. We accept all requests, and we are welcoming anyone that needs a charger at home. We can install it. We have quite a new set of chargers to be installed, whether it is for Chinese cars, US exported cars, or even GCC Omani cars. It's all available with all the accessories, all the needed charging equipment. It's all available on demand with warranties and under the 100% Omani company, Charge Zone Oman.
Thank you, Jawad. That was a very important conversation. I hoped it cleared up some doubts about electric vehicles and EV charging and gave our listeners a better understanding. That was Jawad Al Lawati, co-founder of Charge Zone Oman. I'm Tuqa Al Lawati, and you can find this full episode on SoundCloud at omanfm.om, and I'll see you in the next one.